I'm Shane White, and this is The Process.
Hey gang, Shane White here with another edition of The Process. Today I'll be inking my characters Braun and Maven from the graphic novel that I produced last year called Braun Tectonic Shift, which is still available in my store at shanewhite.com. Pick yourself up a copy and check out the wonderful world of science fiction and robots. Today I'm trying to build up the courage to ink a cover for a friend of mine, and I needed to use a piece that I had drawn some time ago just to get my hand back into it. I'd been doing a lot of digital comic book work, and I had not been exercising my traditional muscles. And when you do that, you tend to lose a certain amount of handedness. The software that I use for Photoshop and Clip Studio tend to add a certain level of tolerance to pulling lines with the digital brush. When you switch over to traditional brushes, you have to compensate in real time. In that, you tend to not be as confident and sure in your handedness. So you'll see here in this piece, specifically, I end up making a lot of mistakes. For instance, the feet on this robot, the holes should have been white, but I ended up filling them in black because I was trying to correct on the fly the circles. What I try to do is, when I make a mistake, I try to roll with it. I try to find a way to make it work for me. You know, if I have to change things and make it different or fill it in black, then I'll just go ahead and do that. But in some cases, I don't like the end result. And for instance, in this case, they're not supposed to be holes in the bottom of the feet, which would indicate that they are potentially jet-propelled feet or some other kind of ignition that would escape from it. When you are out of practice, what happens is you tend to lose the depth perception between your hand and the paper. And when you pull lines, they tend to either be heavier or thicker in ways that you don't want. And so I ran into that a lot throughout this piece. Usually when you're working with line weights, it's good to understand where your light is coming from. That way, when you're trying to create a shadow side or a light side, the line weight will be different per side. So on the shadow side, you'd probably want your lines to be thicker, indicating more weight. You know, the light is bending around the form. On the lighter side, where the explosion is, the line work would be thinner and more open, where you wanted light to sort of break the edge of a surface. Ideally, it would be a good practice for me to at least ink once a week. And when you get to a level of comfortability with inking, it's always nice to just keep your hand in the game. No matter if you're a traditional or digital artist, it's always good to really keep those motor skills going because it only informs your digital stuff. And I think when I've taken too long of a break from digital or traditional, trying to get back into the other tool set is far different than if you were to switch between, say, oils and acrylics or watercolor and gouache. It's because the tactile surface that you're interacting with is so much different. With traditional, you actually get a real response to the medium and the substrate that you're working on. In digital, you tend to be working with the same slick surface and the same pen tool, and you don't have that haptic response, which, if you're familiar with video games, haptics is the response mechanism that is programmatically introduced into the handset or the controller. And until we get that, we will probably have a chasm between the two mediums and the tools that we use to make art. Because I'm familiar with these characters, I kind of know where I'm going to go with the line weights, and what I found is there's a couple instances where you might have seen me pencil in some areas that I forgot. Even though I know the characters really well, in a composition like this where it gets out of hand, I tend to screw up sometimes and miss a leg or a foot or something, and so I have to go back in and draw it in real time. So it's like, well, I could try drawing it with brush, but in this case, it's a lot better if it's more in tune with the style of what I'm drawing or inking in. So this has a little more control, a little less organic quality to it. So I have to end up going in and redrawing it by hand. So I've been thinking a lot about starting a Patreon page. I wanted to share the 20 plus years of knowledge that I have in working as an artist in comics, video games, and film. It'd give me an opportunity to explore in depth the business side of art as well as tools and techniques in trying to excel in your craft. And I've been wanting to offer something that I never learned in art school, and I'm not even sure they teach nowadays. Years ago, back in the early 20th century, there used to be mentorship programs where artists would work with senior artists and they would learn on the job in the field. And that is kind of a thing of the past. It's gone by the wayside. What's replaced it is YouTube and these ancillary ways of learning. And while that is effective and good, and I kind of wished I had that when I was younger, nothing beats that one-on-one feedback. So I'm trying to come up with an idea that's a little more engaging between me and you as a student. Even if you're a professional, I'm sure there's going to be something in there that is worth looking at and learning about. And it's not just from me. There's going to be a lot of people who can offer insight and share knowledge. So if you are interested in something like that, leave a comment below and let me know what you'd like to learn or what questions you have that you would like some deeper insight on. So stay tuned. I'll let you know when the Patreon page is up at some point, but I am in the process of designing it. It's mostly done. I just need to shoot the video and edit the premiums. We'll see. It could be a lot of fun, and I'm really excited about this because in the end, I'm hoping that I can create a book based off of the knowledge that I can field test with you guys. That way I can pass it down to other people. Let me know your thoughts. When using white gouache for corrections, it's also used for finishes. So like if you have seams or you want to put seams into something in black areas, you can go in and thin it just the right amount and pull nice white lines, crispen up edges. You can add white spatter and highlights and eyes. You can, for instance, in the explosions, you can see where I'm actually putting in another layer of dots and debris in the black. So it really creates this nice layered effect that you wouldn't otherwise get, or it would take too long to do just in black. It's not to say you can't do it, but it does make it a lot easier. It also offers an opportunity to do special effects like snow and rain, motion streaks or speed lines or explosions. It's something that you can always find a reason to use, and it really adds a nice level of finish. And I think the difference between pro art and amateur art is knowing when it's finished and knowing how to put that crisp finishing touch on everything. If you like what you're seeing and you want to see more of it, please subscribe today. Write in the comments below and let me know your thoughts on what you'd like to see more of. I'm always open to suggestions, and I've got a lot of ideas and things that I can't wait to share with you. Take care, and thanks for watching.